Silicon solar cells are the gold standard by which all other photovoltaics are compared. But making them is energy intensive and they are difficult to install. And they are both heavy and fragile. This means that you find silicon solar cells on flat roofs of buildings and in large isolated solar farms, but not many other places. If we want to make solar cells ubiquitous, then we need new materials. My name is James Gardner, and I am an associate professor in photoelectrochemistry here at KTH. My research group, we focus on designing and studying new semiconductors that can be made by simple chemical methods as lightweight modules like the one right behind me, and use earth-abundant materials. This class of solar cells is called hybrid and emerging solar cells. An exciting part of hybrid and emerging solar cells is that in many cases, the materials can be designed to self-assemble. The results are solar cells that can be printed like newspaper or sprayed onto large and irregular surfaces. The challenge of working with solar cells prepared by chemical methods is that they're often less stable or durable than silicon. These materials often react with water or oxygen or both, and some of them decompose at elevated temperatures. To make more robust materials, we are using creative chemistry to include molecules into the materials themselves that protect them from decomposition. To study how our materials work in solar cells, we use pulse light from lasers to excite electrons in our materials and then track the movement of the electrons in the materials. The excited electrons can either move through the material and generate power, which is what we want, or react with other components in the solar cell, causing decomposition. By observing when and how the excited electrons lead to decomposition, it allows us a better understanding of how our materials work and how we can improve them in the future.
Hi, my name is Lars Klug. I'm one of the project leaders in the team investigating new solar cell technologies. I've been full professor at KTH since 1998, and materials for various types of emerging solar cell technologies has been a core activity since then. I'm particularly interested in conceptually new materials for solar cells and recently also batteries, and as well what the fundamental insights into how these materials work in themselves and also in solar cells. In this work, the interface between experiment and theory is, in my opinion, very interesting, and theoretical modeling has been and will become an even larger part of our research in the future. You can learn a lot from working with static and dynamic types of models, because it brings order into understanding the experimental results, but it also gives a deeper insight that also gives leads to where we're going in the future when it comes to new materials or to avoid things that actually make solar cells not work so well.
Hi, my name is Ute Kappel and I'm an associate professor here. And my research group focuses on using photoelectron spectroscopy to study solar cell materials. And photoelectron spectroscopy, in our case, we use this method at synchrotron radiation facilities. And a synchrotron, that is basically a building which is like a big ring. And in that ring we have electrons going around, and these then generate X-rays at various places. And then we can build an experiment station on a thing then, which we then call a beamline. And this is where we do our measurements. So we're using X-rays to shine on our solar cell samples, and then we kick out electrons and we measure those electrons. And that gives us information about what the solar cell materials consist of, but it also can tell us the exact energy levels of the solar cell. So if we build up a solar cell of different materials, then we can look at the interfaces between those different materials and how the energy aligns. Another example of what we've done recently would be that we've looked at some of the stability of the solar cell materials. And here we have looked at how our perovskite material from the solar cell reacts with silver metal. And so we've put metal contacts on top of a perovskite material, and then we've used photoelectron spectroscopy to study how that metal reacts with a perovskite over time. And what we've seen here is that silver is maybe not the best metal to use directly together with a perovskite solar cell.
We incorporate these materials in solar cells and use the information that we have gained through spectroscopic methods and other characterization to better improve them in the future. We also stress test our solar cells under elevated temperatures and high humidity to see how they behave. Ideally, we can produce better materials and better solar cells afterwards.